Hey everyone, and welcome to the second part of the speed build of the new house for the Goth family, which, as I was doing the previous video, which if you haven't seen that video, I really suggest you do, because in this video I actually do the entire wall, architecture, floor plan of the house, and in this video I'm mainly focusing on the furnishing of the rooms, and I've also in the previous video started furnishing the living room. So, as I was doing this previous voiceover on the first video, I was thinking naming this house The Shadow, because, as I said in the introduction of this video, this is a new house for the Goth family, and the Goth family is famous for this very dark and gloomy aura that they have, and as I was making this house, I had in mind that this house had to be very dark, very gloomy, very cold in its furnishing, and I'm pretty happy with the results. I'm really pleased with each room of this house because I really tried to go in more details. This is something that I really want to add more in my speed builds. I want to go a bit more in the details, as I said, and add little elements in the furnishing of the house or even in the architecture just to give more a personality to the house. So as you may have seen, I've already worked on the dining room, which is actually in the sunroom, and I'm so glad that I had this idea because I feel like it gives something more to the house, and I was imagining the family just eating their nice little breakfast made by the butler, because there's actually a room in the attic, or what can be considered as the attic, for a butler, which I've never played with, and if I ever play with the Goth family, I would be so glad to be able to experience having a butler with my Sims. And so as you will see, and as you may already have realized, most of the furniture that I've used are dark or black or dark woods or even red, because Bella Goth is wearing a red dress, and I feel like red really suits this family as well. The only rooms that don't have reds are Cassandra's room, the butler's room, and Alexander's rooms, because for Cassandra I went for purple. This was the color scheme or the color theme that there was in her original bedroom in the Ophelia Villa, which is the original house for the Goth family in The Sims 4, and in her bedroom there's a lot of purple, and I feel like this is a color that really suits her. And for Alexander, I wanted to use more greenish color with dark tones, of course, because he's a member of the Goth family, so that kind of makes sense to do that. And I tried my best to find some dark greens, but there's not that many in The Sims 4 with the furnitures. So for the kitchen that I'm pretty much done with, I was imagining that the Goth family would never really go into the kitchen. It would mainly be the place where the maid or the butler would go, but maybe sometimes Bella could come here and have an espresso, which I was thinking while placing the espresso machine, but I don't think the family would come here that often. Maybe Alexander would come here sometimes after school to get a snack or something like that. I don't even know if either of Cassandra or Alexander would have an after-school activity, because the only after-school activities that we have are the Scouts and the Drama Club. Maybe Cassandra could go to the Drama Club, but if there were at some point, if the Sims would add a music after-school activity, I think this would be much better for Cassandra since she has the musical genius aspiration. But for Alexander, maybe the Scouts could be nice, but if there were a science club or a writing club, or maybe, I think in The Sims 3 there was a club that allowed you to work on your homework, this would be so much better for Alexander. And so as you can see in the kind of living room entrance area, I decided to add those knight armor in the transition between the sunroom and the living room, because there were armors like that in the original house of the Goth family, or at least I think there were. I don't know. But I thought this looks very cold and dark, and you don't really see that often, and this can maybe be an heirloom for the family. So here, this is the bathrooms that you can find downstairs. There is 3 full bathrooms with bathtubs, showers and toilets, and this one only has a toilet. But this is quite a fancy toilet, and I tried to furnish the entire bathroom so that it wouldn't be too empty, and so I decided to add an armchair here. I don't know if this is really a place where you would like to sit, but maybe, you know, just as a decoration, maybe where you could place, I don't know, the toilet paper or something like that. I don't know. I don't even think nobody really sits in their bathrooms like that, but you never know. And so here in this kind of little mezzanine, I didn't really know what to place. At first I thought, because this is supposed to be a very fancy house, maybe I can do some kind of an indoor garden, but I decided to go for just a potted plants area. So I placed a bunch of plants here. I thought maybe placing another knight armor, but in the end I didn't really find any armor that would suit this area. I didn't really find anything, so I just decided to place a bunch of plants. And as you can see, I'm once again trying to go into a bit more details by adding more paintings that are really cool, because this face of this little boy, I think that is kind of a drawing, I feel is very weird. I don't know, this dude, he has a really weird face and it's kind of freaky. I wouldn't like to have something like that in my house, but you know, it's the Goths house, so that's fine. And so everything is pretty much dark. I tried to play around with the lighting system in The Sims by not adding too many lights so that the house would really look cold, but I really like the fact that we can actually look above the fence and see who is coming into the house, and I don't know, I really like that. And I used, of course, as you can see, a lot of dark woods all around the house, because once again this is the house for the Goth family. And soon we're going to be working, I think, on the yes, we're right now working on the master bedroom, which is going to be Bella and Mortimer's bedroom. And I had so much fun furnishing this bedroom. So I've used, I think, the exact same bed that they had in their original house, but it's the best bed that they could have. Maybe this is not the same pattern, but it's red and black, and it's exactly what they needed. And I decided to go really fancy by adding a fireplace in their bedroom. You know, maybe sometimes they can have a romantic time just in front of the fireplace before heading to bed. And I also added a study, because Mortimer is supposed to be a writer in this version in The Sims 4. And if you want to hear what I was thinking on how or why the story of the Goth is different in The Sims 4, once again I suggest you go and check out the first video of this speed build, because I went all out and explained why, for me, Bella was younger than Mortimer in this version of The Sims 4, why Mortimer was a writer, and all of that kind of stuff. So if you want to, go check out this previous video. I will try to link it in the description and maybe add a card on the video. But also, as you can see, I've added a little reading area, which I'm actually going to change, because at some point I will think about the vanity table that we've had with the vintage stuff back, and I thought that Bella would use this. And I was thinking about the machinima that was done by Remy. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but this machinima was about Bella and Mortimer, and there's, I think, 3 machinimas that tells their story, and the last one is my favorite. I think it's called The Last Hope. And Bella and Mortimer in the end, I don't really want to spoil you, but at some point Bella uses the vanity table, and I was like, oh, that's an amazing idea. I never use the vanity tables, so it was just a good time and a good place to use this vanity table, and I used the most fancy one, of course. I've used a bunch of items that are so expensive that I never use them, but once again, it's the Goths family, they can afford it, they have the money, they have the heirloom, so I've used the very fancy one, which actually looks very old, and it's perfect for this house, because most of the items, even though they're very expensive, they also look very old, which was exactly what I wanted to go for. So now I'm starting to working on the master bathroom, and as I was using this shower that came with Get Famous, I realized that there was a wall that was actually a mirror in this shower, and I was like, wow, I'd never seen that, but this shower looks very fancy. Once again, using a bunch of dark colors, because once again, it's the Goth family. And you will see that eventually I will use the laundry items. I will place a hamper, I will place also a dryer and a washing machine. I don't think, once again, that the Goth family themselves will be using this item, but maybe the maid or the butler will use these items, and the family will just put their dirty laundry into the hamper and then move on with their day. And I added a bunch of little decorative items in the bathrooms, but I didn't go all out. Usually for the bathrooms I'm really inspired. I was really inspired for these bathrooms, but I was not thinking that the family would really spend that much time in the bathrooms anyway. So now I'm working on Cassandra's bedroom, and I went, as I said, for something really purple looking for her bedroom, and I added also a violin, one of the most expensive violins, and when I saw the price of this violin, it's like 15,000 simoleons, I was like, what? It's so expensive, but she can have that. And I was so glad that for this bed that came with Get Famous, there was this pattern that is kind of white and purpley as well with dark. It was so perfect for her because Cassandra, she has the effect of the Goth family on her, because I think in the description that you have with the Goth family in The Sims 4, it's that there's a gloomy aura that's kind of melting onto the members of the family. So Mortimer has the gloomy trait, I think. Yes, I think he does have the gloomy trait, and Cassandra has the gloomy trait as well. And in the description of the family, there is the mention that maybe Alexander can avoid that. Maybe he can be saved from that heirloom of the gloomy trait, or maybe not. Maybe this is something that he's going to get. I would love to know if you guys think that Alexander would become gloomy if he grew up, and I would like also to know if any of you guys have ever played with the Goth family, because I tried to play with them once, but I didn't really stick to it. I don't know, I really want to play with them now that I've built for them a new house, and I'm just so excited to finally start their makeovers. Though usually when I do makeovers, I feel kind of uncomfortable because I like what the Sims are originally wearing, and I feel like I'm retouching the work of someone else, and I don't really feel that comfortable doing so. But since it's a townie, I don't know, maybe it's fine. So I will try to add my little spin on it and see what I can come up with for the Goth family. It's especially for Bella that I'm kind of curious what I could come up with, and Cassandra as well. Mortimer and Alexander, I don't know, maybe I can try to find something quite similar to what they're wearing right now. Maybe change just a little bit their hair, maybe that's it, I don't know. We'll have to see. But now I'm moving on to the main bathrooms, which I guess can be Cassandra's bathroom, or maybe also the butler's bathroom. And this is where I'm using the dryer and washing machine, and I'm adding some hampers all around the place. But once again, I don't think the family will be using those. I don't know if the butlers are actually taking care of the laundry. I guess they do. Technically they're butlers, so they should. And so now I'm starting working on Alexander's bedroom, and his bedroom is really weirdly shaped, and I struggled to find a place for his bed, and I tried to find a wallpaper that was kind of greenish with really dark woods on it, but I didn't really find anything that pleased me. So I went for this kind of light blue color, thinking that I could find some items that could be greenish to add in his bedroom, but it was very hard. So the only really big touch of green are the curtains and some items that I will be adding later. So he's the one who has the most toys in his bedrooms. Cassandra, she just has items that allows her to play her music and just express her creative side, while Alexander, he still has all of these Legos and his toy box. And I decided to add also this kind of teddy bear panda that looks like a skeleton, because once again it's the Goth family, and I just had so much fun furnishing their house. It was so cool. And I think I worked at last on the garden, or actually I worked on the garden at the end of the video, because I really didn't have that much ideas on the garden. I thought it was too small to do anything in it. I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I wanted to make sure that I was done with the house first, so that I could focus on the garden and use what I had left of imagination on the garden. But I'm also quite happy with what happened with the garden, or what I did with the garden. I'm just really happy with how this house turned out to be in the end. Also for the attic, I didn't really know what to place as well, because this last level of the house is just so weirdly shaped that it's so difficult to fit any items in it. And as you may have seen, I've struggled to place the bathtub. I've at some point thought maybe just placing a shower, but I really wanted for this bathroom to have one of the most fancy bathtub there was in the game, and I thought using the one that came with Get Famous, but because it was not with right angles, it was very difficult to see that it could fit in the house, and it didn't look old enough. So here is the butler's room, and at first I thought that this room could be Mortimer's office, but as I was furnishing, I think the first level of the house, I started to think, especially when I was starting working on the kitchen, I was thinking maybe the family could have a butler. And when I saw this bedroom, I was like, maybe I can just place the butler here and Mortimer can just work on his bedroom, or in his bedroom. And I will also place a computer in the attic, and Mortimer and probably Alexander as well can be using the computer. I'm thinking that Alexander would be using the computer just to play games, while Mortimer would be using the computer to just write books. And maybe in the middle of the night, Bella could wake up and sneak into the attic to just go and look through all of her husband's papers on the computer, or maybe just try to find some information on The Sims, because she's part of the secret agent career, so maybe she can use the computer for that as well, but just do it in a sneaky way. Also, I thought placing an aquarium, and I was thinking maybe I can place the aquarium downstairs, but I decided not to because I really liked how everything was furnished and placed in the house. So the aquarium, maybe later, if I play with the family and I decide to move things around, maybe I can place an aquarium. But I think, like, for now, I'm pretty much done with the interior of the house, and now I'm working on the upstairs. So for this little deck on the roof, I wanted to use a telescope, but I wanted to have the telescopes that we had in The Sims 2 and in The Sims 3, and I think we had the same as well in The Sims 4, in The Sims 1. But in The Sims 4, the telescopes are so huge that I didn't really want to use one like that in this on this deck. And this would have been so fun if we had a telescope just like the one we had in The Sims 2 and in The Sims 3. Because in The Sims 2, in the house of the Goth family, there was this telescope on the roof, which I think Mortimer was using to just try to track down Bella wherever she was gone because of the alien abductions. But unfortunately, we don't have this telescope, so hopefully they will be adding one soon. Hopefully, apparently some laptops are coming to the game, which is fun and cool. But I wish we could have some telescopes, like normal size telescopes. But hopefully one day. And so now I'm working on the backyard, and I decided to add a fountain because it looked very fancy and I didn't really know what to do with this space, and I thought a fountain was nice. And yeah, it's just a pretty simple backyard area where the family can just hang out, and I tried to add this fountain here that came with, how is it called? Jungle Adventure, because it looked old once again, and I thought this is an old house, so that kind of makes sense. But anyway, this house is pretty much done now, so I hope you enjoyed this speed build. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you want to download this house for yourself, don't forget to check the description. There is a link in the description for you to go and check out this house on the gallery and download it for yourself. But anyway, I'm going to leave you here, guys, so I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you in my next video.